You know how the service can sometimes make or break a dining experience? Here is an example of that. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and the Yummy of Afternoon Tea, Chicago Tea Tour, third stop of 4. Because I had such a hard time getting reservations at tea rooms closer to downtown Chicago, I booked our third afternoon tea at High Tea with Jerry in Long Grove, Illinois, which is about 40 minutes drive from Millennium Park, Chicago, or 20 minutes from O'Hare Airport, as a point of reference. Starting this review with the good, I am going to classify the scone here as good. It was called an Irish raisin scone on the website, whatever that means. It was quite bready, and I wondered if maybe it was actually yeast-based or had soda water in it. I don't know, but it was different than other scones I've had. It was kind of almost spongy, if that makes sense, but I enjoyed the different texture. It was served with a shared pot of lemon curd strawberry jam, and I'm pretty sure it was actually real clotted cream. The lemon curd was likely the Tiptree or McKay's jarred lemon curd, as it was not very tangy, as a homemade lemon curd would likely be. Anyway, the scone was the good part of this afternoon tea experience. You know how I appreciate scones and real clotted cream. Actually, I would also classify the table setting and teaware as good here too. The antique sugar bowl and milk pitcher and tongs were gorgeous. Let's get into the food. In terms of savories, which we ate before our scones, of course, we each received several sandwiches, which included cucumber, egg salad, brie, asparagus, turkey, and beef. My guest, who eats seafood, received 2 seafood items. One was salmon and one was crab, which you can see in the middle tier here. I had indicated in our reservation that I don't eat fish or seafood, and my seafood was swapped out with an additional asparagus and an additional egg salad. The savories were just fine. Some of the breads were starting to dry out, likely because it was served to our table so quickly and we didn't dive right into eating it. We also found it odd that most of the sandwiches had a leaf of lettuce between the bread and the filling. On my plate, only the egg salad didn't have lettuce. It wasn't added for color because there was already green, so why was it there? We found it quite odd. I liked the caraway seeds in the turkey sandwich, but the egg salad itself was dry and needed more mayo. Overall, the savories were fine, but definitely nothing to write home about. For the sweets, we each received a raspberry square, a macaron, a chocolate cup, and a petit four, or petit four, or petit four, depending on your pronunciation. None of these sweets impressed either of us, but others, like yourself, may love them. The chocolate cup was a type of ganache and tasted pretty good, but my tea friend thankfully warned me to remove the lavender buds from the top before eating it. I am not sure who suggested that lavender buds on top of chocolate or cream would be a nice combination for most guests. If you know to remove them, this chocolate cup could be enjoyable. Overall, the sweets were likely passable for most people, but didn't impress me, so overall, the food here was quite mediocre for me. Moving on to the bad, I have several aspects here, so get comfortable. First, there were no tea options. They were serving a house blend to everyone without even asking. They come around to refill your teacups from a teapot, so there are no teapots on the tables. We had to stop them from immediately pouring to ask for a caffeine-free version for my tea guest. And while I was at it, I asked for Earl Grey instead of whatever their house blend was. After a bit of fluster, they served us some tea, and their tea strainer did not strain out the tea leaves. In the cup of tea that I drank, there were mucho tea leaves in the cup, and that is not acceptable. Then, for our second cups of tea, we were served from the same teapot. Even after my tea guest confirmed that she was pouring caffeine-free, she said yes and then served me from the same teapot. How can Earl Grey and caffeine-free house blend come from the same teapot? It's quite impossible. We were busy eating by this time, and the servers were quite flustered for no good reason, so we just let this whole tea fiasco slide. But it certainly wasn't acceptable to have no tea options and no proper teapots that we serve ourselves, especially if you aren't keeping track of what you're pouring into people's cups for them. The second bad aspect was the sense of flurry we felt. When we arrived, before we had even removed our coats and sat down, we were served a glass of water, offered a mimosa or an eggnog, and then an amuse-bouche soup was presented. Again, we had barely sat down and taken our coats off. Then there was the flurry of tea activity already described, and somewhere in the middle of all that, our food was delivered in a hurried fashion. So within 5 minutes of walking in the door, we were served water glasses, an eggnog shot, a mini soup, some tea, and absolutely all of our food. It was very overwhelming and really unnecessarily hurried. And finally, under the category of bad, I would be remiss not to mention that there were scones and scone accompaniments on our table, all tables in fact, when we arrived. As I said, we had all of our food and teas within 5 minutes, and we were then delivered a second plate of scones. And so I started taking my videos and photos, etc. Once I had just finished all the tablescape shots, the owner realized that we had been brought out an additional plate of 2 scones, which I guess we were not entitled to, and she took it away. So in fact, we were only meant to have 1 scone each or 1 plate of scones. So I had to redo all of the shots again with just the 1 plate of scones. So you're going to see multiple scones and then less scones in all of these videos. No big deal to reshoot the content, but it was kind of awkward having her take food off of our table in a hurried way. What if I had touched those scones to move them around while I was taking photos and videos? It was quite off-putting, and it definitely affected our experience. So overall, the service on the day that we went was definitely bad. It might have been a bad day for them, but I can only speak to the day and the time and the experience we had when we were there. I hope it's not like this every day for all customers, but again, I cannot speak to that. I was here on one specific day at one specific time, and I'm reporting on that experience. For the ugly, I didn't find anything ugly here. I liked the venue. The exterior was cute, and the little town where this is located has some nice shops to visit while you are here. The interior is nice, the tables are well adorned, so it definitely wasn't ugly. For the yummy, besides the scone, we both enjoyed the amuse-bouche roasted red pepper and tomato soup, and the chocolate ganache once you removed the lavender buds also tasted pretty good. This afternoon tea cost $60 per person, which is about 84 Canadian dollars per person. I would say this is priced quite a bit higher than what it should be. This afternoon tea should be priced at $40 maximum, so 60 is quite a bit overpriced, especially since this tea room is in a small town and not in the city of Chicago. These prices do not make much sense for the quality of food being served. Or maybe the demographics of this little town is full of rich people, so that would match with the going rate here. But that's my opinion based on the teas I've attended on this continent of North America. Anyway, if you're near here, you should give it a whirl and see for yourself. I hope you receive a calm and enjoyable service by the staff on the day that you go. Based on my whole experience, food and service on this day, my Queen of Afternoon Tea rating is 2 out of 5 stars. Savories and sweets could be better. Provide tea options to guests, and I'll take that second scone and calmer service by staff, please. Have you been to Jerry's? Would you go? Share your impressions below in the comments. Until next time, tea friends.